Elizabeth Oyer, the recently dismissed pardon attorney of the U.S. Department of Justice, alleges a blatant case of political pressure and bullying stemming from Donald Trump's close ties to Mel Gibson. Her firing, reported by the New York Times, follows her refusal to recommend restoring Mel Gibson's gun ownership rights, a right revoked since his 2011 domestic violence conviction. This incident unveils a troubling undercurrent of political interference within a department traditionally shielded from partisan influence. Oyer, appointed under President Biden in 2022, held a nonpolitical position overseeing clemency matters and presidential pardon recommendations. Her role was crucial, particularly in a project she spearheaded to reinstate gun rights for individuals convicted of certain crimes and misdemeanors, a power vested in the Department of Justice but rarely exercised. This project, meticulously crafted, involved a rigorous selection process. From an initial pool of 95 candidates, a diligent review narrowed the list down to a mere 9. However, this carefully curated selection was abruptly disrupted by a blatant act of political interference. Oyer recounted to the New York Times how senior officials unexpectedly intervened, demanding the inclusion of Mel Gibson in the final recommendation memo. This demand, she stated, came in the form of a blunt directive. "We would like you to add Mel Gibson to this memo." This blatant disregard for due process and the integrity of the selection process highlighted a disturbing pattern of prioritizing political connections over objective merit. The timing of this intervention is far from coincidental. Just days before commencing his second term, Donald Trump, in a move that raised eyebrows across political circles, publicly declared Mel Gibson, alongside actors Jon Voight and Sylvester Stallone, as special ambassadors to a great but very troubled place, Hollywood, California. This announcement, issued on January 16, 4 days before Trump's inauguration, further fueled suspicions of a calculated attempt to influence Oyer's decision. Oyer's awareness of Mel Gibson's controversial past, including his 2006 anti-Semitic tirade during a drunk driving arrest, adds another layer of complexity to this situation. This incident, a matter of public record, underscores the gravity of the decision to potentially reinstate his gun rights, especially considering his history of violence and hateful rhetoric. The fact that such a decision was seemingly driven by political expediency, rather than a balanced assessment of the facts, is deeply troubling. The abrupt dismissal of Oyer from her position on Friday further reinforces the allegations of undue political pressure. The suddenness of the termination, as described by Oyer, suggests a retaliatory action for her refusal to comply with the demands to include Mel Gibson. This termination not only raises serious questions about the integrity of the Department of Justice under political pressure, but also casts a shadow on the fairness and objectivity of the pardon process itself. The case calls into question the extent to which political affiliations and personal relationships influence key decisions within the Department of Justice, potentially undermining its core function of upholding justice impartially. The implications of Oyer's case extend far beyond the specific individuals involved. It highlights a broader concern about the erosion of institutional norms and the increasing vulnerability of nonpolitical positions to partisan pressure. This instance serves as a cautionary tale about the potential for political interference to compromise the integrity of government institutions and undermine the principles of fair and impartial justice. The dismissal of a dedicated public servant who refused to bend to political pressure should raise serious concerns about the future of impartial justice within the Department of Justice and the broader American political landscape. The narrative of Elizabeth Oyer's experience paints a disturbing picture. It suggests a willingness to disregard established procedures and ethical considerations to accommodate the preferences of powerful individuals. This situation raises critical questions about accountability and transparency within the Department of Justice. The public deserves a thorough investigation into these allegations and a firm commitment from the leadership to ensure that such blatant political interference will not be tolerated in the future. The potential for such actions to influence crucial decisions, including those related to public safety, poses a significant threat to the rule of law and demands immediate and decisive action. The silence surrounding this case only serves to embolden such practices. The lack of immediate investigation and clear consequences for those involved only amplifies the severity of the issue and undermines the public trust in the impartiality and integrity of the Department of Justice. The fate of Elizabeth Oyer's case is not simply a matter of personal injustice. It is a pivotal moment that reveals a deeper systemic problem demanding immediate and decisive action. The outcome will profoundly impact the perception of the justice system and its ability to operate free from political influence. The call for transparency and accountability is not just a plea for justice for Elizabeth Oyer, but a crucial demand for the preservation of the integrity and trustworthiness of the Department of Justice. Only by thoroughly investigating and addressing these concerns can we prevent similar occurrences from jeopardizing the fairness and impartiality of the U.S. justice system.